It feels like you can't open a browser or turn on the news without seeing another headline about artificial intelligence, right? It's either the end of the world as we know it, it's coming for all our jobs, or it's this amazing tool that's going to make us all unbelievably productive. But is that really the whole story? Today we're going to dig into a really important question. In this massive global conversation about AI, who are we forgetting to talk about? Okay, to really get a grip on this, let's just start with one number. 2.5 million. That's a huge number, right? Well, that's the potential number of jobs at risk from AI in just one country, Kenya. And look, this isn't some sci-fi far-off future we're talking about. This is a very real, very immediate concern that honestly grounds this whole debate in reality.
So that number, that 2.5 million in Kenya, it really shines a spotlight on a much bigger issue. The way we talk about AI and jobs, the global conversation, it's been framed in this super specific way. It's almost like a story that we're told only has two possible endings.
And here it is. This is the debate you always hear, right? On one hand, you've got the doom gloom, mass unemployment, robots taking over. And on the other hand, you have this, utopian dream, this massive productivity boom that's going to make life better for everyone. Sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? It's the same story we hear again and again and again. But this is where we really need to pump the brakes. Because as simple and, as tidy as that two-sided debate seems, we've got to ask ourselves a really critical question. Is this conversation actually capturing what's happening all over the world? Is it really a global discussion? No, seriously, let's just let that sink in for a second. When you and I hear about AI replacing jobs, whose jobs do we actually picture in our minds? Because the answer to that question, well, it reveals a massive blind spot in this whole discussion. So here's the problem. Plain and simple. The conversation that we all hear, the dominant narrative, has been almost entirely focused on high-income economies. Think Europe, North America. And in doing so, it has completely, and I mean completely, overlooked the very different reality for millions of workers on the African continent. And look, this isn't just some small detail we're glossing over. This is a game changer. It changes the entire conversation. So to really understand why, we've got to take a look at what this alternate reality, what this different kind of workforce actually looks like. Yeah, for so many people, the day-to-day reality of work has nothing to do with sitting in an office or a cubicle. We're talking about farmers, drivers, traders. These are the jobs that are the absolute backbone of so many economies. And they exist in a completely different world from the jobs we usually hear about in these AI debates. We're not talking about software engineers or graphic designers. And this just perfectly shows the massive disconnect, right? Don't get me wrong, the conversation about AI's impact on those jobs is important. Of course it is. But it's just not the main conversation for a workforce that's structured like this. The challenges, the risks, the opportunities, they're just on a completely different planet.
Now, it's super important we give credit where credit is due here. This entire analysis, this perspective, it comes from a really sharp report by Alberto Lemma over in Next Billion. It's really his reporting that cuts through all the usual noise and points out this huge oversight in the way we all talk about AI.
So once you see this, once you realize there's this massive missing piece of the puzzle, that whole simple debate between job killer and productivity boomer just kind of falls apart, doesn't it? It just doesn't fit anymore. And it forces us to move beyond that really limited story and ask a much, much deeper and frankly more relevant question.
Which is this: what does AI really mean for African workers? See, it's not about picking a side anymore, utopia or dystopia. It's about starting a brand new conversation, one that's actually grounded in a reality that for way too long has been completely ignored. And that is a question that's absolutely worth asking.